Cuentos del Abuelito. Hey, how's it going, guys? On this occasion, I'll be narrating 3 scary stories that happened while playing video games. If you enjoy the stories, feel free to leave a like and a comment, for support and all that type of thing. Also, feel free to share the video. With all that being said, let's get to it. Story number 1. Angusu 907. I like Roblox, and I play it constantly. I knew the existence of hackers like Morgan and Ulifer, among many others, but I am of the very few who managed to avoid them at all costs. However, on this one occasion, I wasn't so lucky. You see, all the other users on this particular server spoke only Spanish. One day I met a player named Angusu907. He had blue hair, a blue bird on his shoulder, some headphones, and he wore black pants with red stripes. He began to speak Spanish, asking, "Is my avatar cute?" Then he spoke in English and started asking everyone else except for me. He started typing my name on the server and started asking where I was. He searched the entire map for me until he found me, only to ask the same question. I told him that he was very annoying and that he was annoying all the other players. When he read that, he replied in capital letters, "What, you don't like my avatar? Are you trying to avoid the question because you don't like it?" Suddenly all the other users got disconnected and it was just him and me. The entire server turned red and Angusu told me, "Now because you have disrespected me, your account will be mine and I will make it just like mine." A screamer appeared on my screen showing all the players such as Morgine and Ulifer. The game sent me to the start and I noticed my account was missing. I was completely logged off. I was at the beginning when you first launched the app, where the login and register window is at. Anyway, I tried to log into my account and couldn't find it. So I went to the search engine to search for my username, and the only account that popped up was Angusu907 with his avatar. He wore those black pants with red stripes. You see, my username was Enderman890, but every time I would search it, Angusu907 appeared. It seems that he made my account just like his. Anyway, I created a new account just to continue playing Roblox. It's a noob account with no Robux. The problem is that I found this user again, Angusu907, and guess what? He sent me a friend request. I accepted it. I don't know why I did it. Maybe hoping that he would apologize and give me my account back. Since I had lots of Robux invested into my account, Angusu907 spoke to me in all the languages you could think of. He finally sent me a message in English that said, "I hope that this time, when you see me again, you better think twice what you're going to reply. If you see this user on Roblox, please report him." Story number 2. Knock knock. "Andy, turn off that computer. It's too late." "I'll turn it off in a minute, Mom. Just let me pass this level and I'll turn it off," Andy said as he frenetically touched the keyboard, totally lost in his world, trying not to lose any points in his favorite video game, Minecraft. Suddenly, the screen went dark and the computer lights went out. "To sleep, Andy," his mother said while holding the cable unplugged from the computer in her hand. "It's too late. Brush your teeth and get into bed and go to sleep." Andy, surprised by not having seen or heard his mother enter the room, got up, very bothered, but without saying a single word, went towards the bathroom. He knew if he disobeyed, he would spend a week without playing any video games. The bathroom was on the top floor of the house as well as his room. The doors were right in front of each other, and at the end of the hall, there was a small room that the family used as a storage room. As Andy brushed his teeth and made faces in front of the mirror, he could hear his parents in the kitchen washing the dishes and his dog Scooby scraping the front door to get Andy's parents' attention and let be inside the house. Knock, knock. A loud knock was heard from Andy's room. He turned his head quickly, looking closely at his bed, the only visible place from the bathroom. He waited a few seconds and nothing. The noise was not heard again. Andy, are you already in bed? When you finish, turn off the light in the hallway and the one in your room. See you tomorrow, son, said his mother. Okay, Mom, he responded while rinsing his mouth. Knock, knock. That loud knock was heard again, and this time Andy heard it clearly, coming from his room. Without daring to turn his head, he tried to distract himself by looking at his face in the mirror, humming a song to forget about the noise. It's nothing, he repeated. Something must have fallen, but he couldn't get it exactly out of his head. The fear of that noise, he knew he actually heard it. Andy jumped, completely scared, throwing his toothbrush into the air. Scooby was in the bathroom door, barking affectionately. Oh, Scooby, you scared the crap out of me. Come, let's go to sleep. The moonlight came through the bedroom window. The lights of the cars passing by on the street created some scary shadows on the walls, and the occasional cat meowing near the garbage cans. Andy had covered himself up to his neck with blankets, as he was finally getting some sleep with Scooby at his feet. Knock, knock. Andy opened his eyes as if he had been awake the whole time. The noise echoed both in his room and in his dreams. Nervously, he stared at the ceiling, staring into nothing, just darkness in the room, waiting for that sound to come again and guess exactly where it was coming from. Looking to his right towards the door of his room, he saw Scooby staring at the bottom of his bed, growling at something and slowly walking backwards, without deviating for a second what was under his bed. Knock, knock, the noise returned. Hearing that, the blood ran cold throughout his body. He was paralyzed, as if his muscles were not responding. In his mind, he remembered over and over scenes from all the scary movies he would watch on Saturdays. But those movies were fake, and this noise wasn't. It was real, and it came from under his bed. Suddenly, the blankets began to slowly slide down towards the floor, uncovering Andy, who was nervously sitting on the corner of his bed, refusing to let go of his blankets. Scooby went from growling to crying in a matter of seconds. With his tail between his legs, he was trembling in fear. Scooby was slowly backing away from what was under the bed, to the point where the door was slammed shut, leaving Scooby outside of the room. Andy was trapped in fear, seeing how the blanket slid away completely. He didn't know whether to close his eyes and just wait for whatever was supposed to come, or run out of his room into his parents'. All of a sudden, the door opened. His room felt peaceful again, as if nothing had happened. Andy was still trembling in fear, but he slowly lowered his right foot from his bed. A drop of sweat ran down his forehead. His heart was beating rapidly. He touched the floor and nothing happened. This calmed him down a bit, so he lowered his left foot quickly with the intention of running to his parents' room. Knock, knock was heard again. Before Andy could run, he was completely paralyzed. He looked down at his feet and saw two hands holding him by the ankles. These hands were shadow-like, but he could clearly feel them. They were heavy and cold. He tried to scream, but he felt as if he had a knot in his throat. It was impossible. He was completely paralyzed from head to toe. Morning came, and Andy looked out his window. He saw the bright sun and leaves falling from the trees. The birds were chirping. Relieved of what happened last night, he ran to his computer to play his favorite game, but suddenly turned it off immediately when he noticed two prints of hands on his ankles. Andy then remembered everything from last night. He was terrified, but glad to still be alive. Story number 3. I was a 14-year-old boy when I had the worst video game experience of my life. Without further ado, here's my story. I was sitting on a bench at school when all of a sudden my friends, very excited, approached me. Juan, Mario, and Pedro. They told me about this new game that was recently released in the Play Store called Free Fire. At the time, I never once heard of that game, so my friends showed me a video about it on YouTube. To be honest, the game seemed very interesting to me. I couldn't wait to get off school, and finally when I did, I ran to my room and threw my backpack and started downloading Free Fire on my cell. I waited anxiously for it to be downloaded completely. In the meantime, I watched more videos on YouTube for tips and tricks. After the installation, I texted my friends and told them to play some games online with me. They texted me their usernames and I sent them friend requests. We started playing. At around 5 p.m. I noticed my cell only had 25% of battery life. I told them bye and I charged my cell. In the meantime, I took a shower and went downstairs for dinner. My parents told me they were going to go to the hospital to visit my aunt who was very sick and that they would return the next day. A while later, I finished my homework and at around 8 p.m. I texted my friends that I had the whole house to myself and that they were invited to a sleepover. At around 8:30, they showed up. We grabbed lots of snacks and juices and even a few beers we managed to steal from our parents. After we turned off all the lights, we started playing Free Fire. Time flew. When I noticed it was already 1 a.m. Relieved we didn't have school in the morning, we continued to play. A little while later, something very strange happened. We all received a friend request from dark web user 69. We looked at each other and laughed, but we accepted the friend request. Not even 5 seconds had passed when again we received a voice message at the same time. The voice message said, "You 4 against me against you 4. If I win by killing you 4, I'll kill you for real. If you survive 10 minutes against me, I'll send you each $100 to your individual accounts. If you deny this offer, I'll delete all of your profiles." We laughed and agreed to play against dark web user 69 just because we had already invested money in our accounts. We started to play, but Pedro didn't seem focused and was killed in under a minute. With tears in his eyes, he wished us luck. Mario died next when he walked over a mine. There were only 5 minutes left. Juan and I were doing very well together, avoiding dark web's users' mines and traps. But Mario died short after because he was attacked from behind. When all 3 wished me luck, I started to get a little nervous. Suddenly I saw how dark web user came out from under the map and pointed at me with a sniper gun. Luckily, the timer ran out and the game was over. We won, we yelled. He didn't kill all of us. We started pillow fighting and drinking the 4 last beers. About 30 minutes later, when we were actually getting ready to sleep, we heard some pounding on the front door. And after about a minute, the door was broken down. We all ran upstairs to my room, but Mario, he tripped on the way there. The rest of us hid under my bed. Mario was beat unconscious. Pedro wouldn't stop crying. That's when the intruder heard that we were upstairs and started running upstairs as well. Juan was too scared and crawled from under the bed and jumped out the window. Luckily, the intruder went into the wrong room. That's when Pedro and I ran downstairs. Unfortunately, Pedro tripped on Mario's body. I managed to run out the front door and hid behind a huge pine tree in my backyard. Inside the house, I could hear Pedro's cries for mercy, and then it stopped. At that moment, I received a message from dark web user 69. It said, "I'm behind you, but I'm not going to beat you unconscious like I did to your friends. Because thanks to you, you guys defeated me. You guys survived 10 minutes against me, but maybe next time you won't be so lucky. He dropped 4 gift cards and left. We never knew who this guy was or why he chose to come to my house. The only thing that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable at night is that 1 week later, a man was arrested for breaking into a house and threatening another boy with a baseball bat.